Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on when you are watching this, or good night, depending on when you're watching this. This is another episode of Tar Heel by Dark. Tonight's episode leaves off with Harry Walsh in his lab trying to get a hold of Prince Josiah, Samuel Josiah, head of the state of Tar Heel, because he wants to get put on the docket for the Elysium tomorrow. And with that, the scene begins. So Harry is currently trying to find a method of contacting Prince Josiah. Basically, since Red Owl is not available to give him the usual contact, he decides to contact the governor's mansion directly and ask if they can pass a message on to the prince, when they find a way through.
Actually, you are advised that Sam is in his office if you'd like to be transferred.
Great.
All right. A couple of moments pass as you hear a lively, particularly well done version of Vivaldi's Spring in a rather deeper key than what you're used to, but Josiah.
My prince, is this a secure line?
It is.
Good. Then no concerns here. My prince, I was hoping to contact you about the possibility of getting a presentation put on the docket for Elysium tomorrow. I know it's a little short notice, but in light of everything, I was hoping to at least relate to the court why it was I've been sent down here and propose a plan for a long-term scenario to address a major issue that affects us all.
Proceed.
I don't know how familiar you are with the global warming problem that's been affecting our planet for the past century and a bit now.
Somewhat.
Okay. Well, what you may or may not be aware of is the fact that there are two major issues. One of which is the sea level rise, which is going to eventually swamp out large sections of Tar Heel. And more importantly, the other section is the fact that there's going to be some major effects which might cause our food supply to die off. In particular, the fact that within 90 years, there will be no more breathable atmosphere for the kind. So I have some engineering ideas that I'd like to present to the court in a relatively simple form, partly to provide infrastructure to try to offset the worst of the problems, and secondly, to propose an evacuation and resettlement plan for the kind community for when the sea level rise starts affecting the areas of Tar Heel which are at or below sea level. I have a full presentation ready to go with this. I was wondering if it might be possible to put this on the docket for the court to consider for this coming Elysium. It wouldn't take more than 10 minutes tops.
You hear a short silence as if Sam is thinking. Mr. Walsh, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. We have a large number of security breaches that need to be addressed tomorrow night as well. I cannot guarantee you this time, but if the time is available, you may request the floor, provided that no other members of my council object to this.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Then sorry, you were saying.
Now, as I've said, do be aware that while I am the sole princely representative of the state, my power in overruling a duke or duchess is limited. So if it does come to the point that your idea does not make it to the floor, there is very little that I can do.
I understand, my prince. I will attend Elysium, and I will await to find out if there is a free moment at the end of all other business, and see if there's time for that then.
Very well. Are you familiar with the procedure, Mr. Walsh?
I am not entirely familiar with the procedure for the court. Does it work like the Primogen councils in some of the other districts?
Somewhat similar. As I'm not in 100% aware of how the individual peerage run their particular meetings, but as for me and mine, there is typically a small refreshment of sorts, a light hors d'oeuvres, so to speak, and upon conclusion of that, I typically bring the meeting to an open, at which time we immediately discuss any old business that had been tabled from any previous meetings. If upon the conclusion of this discussion and any voting, we will move into new business. Now, I have a number of topics that I wish to bring up as well, but this does not prevent any other member of the peerage from also asking to be recognized onto the list of speakers. Typically, it is required that the speaker receive a second, at minimum 1 second, before their topic is motioned onto the docket. At the conclusion of this new business, the floor is typically opened to how can I say this and still remain at least somewhat respectful? Peasantry is an awful word, but I hope you understand the intent, that they are typically given a chance to air any additional grievances or issues that they feel the need to bring up. But do be aware that you have done this in the correct manner, as before you are allowed to speak, it is customary that you are given the permission to do so by your representative on the council. In this case, that's me, but I digress.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, then, what I will do is I will await for that section of opening the floor, and I will humbly ask your permission at that time to speak, assuming there's time.
Very well. I said now, as I have said, if any other member of the peerage elects to raise objection, there's very little that I can do to overrule them. My powers of veto are actually quite limited.
Very well. Noted and understood. So, thank you, my prince, and I will be looking forward to seeing everyone at Elysium.
Very well, do so. And also do be aware that tomorrow evening there will be a significant increase in security provided with the recent issues that we've come across.
Mm-hmm. Understood. I should mention that I will be having. This is probably something I should let you know of them, my prince. I have some very advanced computer stuff that I will be bringing with me. It's just tied to my cell phone, but it may allow for the potential of setting up a extra security network throughout the entire area, should you need it.
Well, very well, Mr. Walsh. I would advise If you if you would wish to provide a support like that, I quite honestly, I would advise you to attempt to contact Mr. David or Mr. Wallace.
All right. I will contact. I will make sure that I contact both of them and let them know. They're already aware of. They're already aware of my existence, so it shouldn't be too difficult to let them know what the latest gadgets are in this area that I'm working on. Thanks again, my prince, and I will not take up any more of your valuable time.
Very well. You have yourself a good evening and remain safe.
You too. Happy holidays as well. And with that, Harry Walsh hangs up. And unless
As
there's
does
anything
the
else.
line, and does the line go dead on the prince's end?
Yep. And unless there's anything else, I believe that's scene over.
That will be it.
Okay. Stay tuned for next scene, ladies and gentlemen.